Okay, so good evening and welcome to the Village of Ossining Zoning Board of Appeals regular meeting of November 10th, 2020. Again, due to the ongoing public health and safety concerns associated with COVID-19, the board is meeting via video conference using the Zoom platform in accordance with the governor's executive orders. There is no public participation in person tonight. Rather, the public can watch the live meeting online through Zoom. Notice of tonight's meeting was published as required and on the village's website. The web notice included instructions for members of the public to access the meeting and participate in any public hearings. Comments will only be taken during the public hearing portions of the meeting as usual. In order to participate, please do the following. Members of the public attending online via the Zoom app may use the raise hand feature at the appropriate time. If you would like to make a comment, the feature is located at the bottom of your screen. Those attending via telephone can press *9. The meeting host will see your hand is raised or that you have pressed *9 and will unmute those waiting one at a time so that you can speak. Lastly, comments can be emailed during the meeting to J. Martinez. That's Jaime Martinez, J. Martinez, Martinez, @villageofossining.org. Any written comments will be read into the record. Please note that tonight's meeting is being recorded and a video and transcript will be provided at a later date. Now, here are some ground rules. In order to keep the meeting orderly and ensure we get a clear recording, please follow these ground rules. When you are given access to speak, please state your name and address. If you are speaking during the public hearing, please limit your comments to the matter which is the subject of the hearing. If any speaker is inappropriate, they will be immediately cut off and access removed. To the board members, please mute yourselves when you are not speaking. Again, to the board members, I will call on you one at a time to speak to avoid everyone speaking at once. And if you wish to speak at any time when I'm not calling on you, you may also use the raised hand feature or literally raise your hand and I will see you and call on you. We will use a roll call voting for purposes of all board motions, and this is to ensure that the record is clear. I want to thank everyone for their patience as we still continue to negotiate our way of doing these things. So for the benefit of the record, we're going to do a roll call vote to kick things off. When Amanda Brosley says your name, please indicate that you are present.
Okay. Marlene Cheatham.
Present.
George Bailing.
Present.
Bob Daraya.
Present.
Kevin Griffith.
Present.
Antonio Martinez.
Present.
Nina Aaron.
Present.
Okay. Well, Nina, unless there's some issue with one of the board members dropping off, you won't need to be voting tonight, but you can participate in deliberation.
Thank you.
Also with us tonight are Joseph Agostinelli, our building inspector, Jaime Martinez, our planning director, Jamie Kane, our board secretary, and Amanda Brosley, our village land use attorney.
I apologize. I do think it's Amanda Brosey, but
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I put an L in there all the time, Amanda?
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm sorry, Amanda. Amanda Brosey.
That's right. Thank you.
Look, I got Agostinelli.
Yeah, I know. One at a time.
One at a time.
all right. So we have some continuing business of the board, and we have new business. And so earlier we spoke about moving the continuing business to the end due to the fact that we have a couple of quick applications, and these are going to take a little longer. So the first application on the new business is 177 Croton Avenue, which is connected to an application at 175 Croton Avenue. We're going to go through 177 Croton Avenue first. So we're just, we want to make sure there will be questions. Just want to advise the board that will relate to the adjacent property, but it's important that we do keep them separate and sort of make decisions about the process separately. So for that project, we have William Semifrides, who's here, and he's the architect for the applicant. Bill, do you want to turn on your camera? Antonio Martinez is here as well.
Yeah, he said his name during.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Here.
Bill Semifrides, do you want to make yourself visible and turn on? There you go. And unmute yourself. Great.
Unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Is
Yeah.
your
He said
is
he was
anyone
going
here?
to be on, but
what's the name of the applicant again?
Douglas Garrido?
Douglas.
I have a Michelle Garrido here. So,
Yeah, it's probably him.
All right. All right. Michelle Garrido, if you could please unmute yourself and turn on your camera.
Maybe.
Great. All right. Do you want to go ahead?
Sure. All right. So we're here. Basically, this was a project approved 2018, I believe, for a two-family structure on a vacant lot that's adjoining another three-family structure adjacent, which is 175. We're proposing to relocate the driveway that goes through 177 to access the parking for 175. We're proposing a two-family structure. We're setting the structure back 34 feet. Requirement is 0 to 15 feet maximum. We're setting it back so it's sort of more aligned with the existing three-family adjacent structure, which provides more of a uniform sort of green space between the other structure, the commercial space to the left as you're looking at the as you're looking north, and I think it's a two-family to the right before the pizzeria. There you go. So we're here asking for a front yard setback as well as driveway variance. Driveway, I believe, is 4-foot setback from side yards. We're basically providing an easement that serves both structures, so there's 0 setback for the driveway. And again, it's a two-family structure, 2 bedrooms, duplex, facing 175, 3-family structure. So can I move my cursor? You won't be able to see it, right?
No, I think I could allow you to annotate.
That's all right. I don't need to, I guess.
I could also, if you wanted to pull up something from your screen, you could share if you'd like.
Okay. But I think what you have there is sufficient to explain what I need to explain.
If you tell me where you want me to draw, I can do that as well.
That's nice. All right, so you see we're relocating the curb cut from the existing driveway, which is right there, up to close to the fire hydrant. And that's going to be the new entrance serving the 2 structures. You see the driveway cuts through, and then we're providing 3 parking spots in the back of the new structure, 177. I guess we're discussing 177 really. And then 1 parking space under each townhouse for each apartment. So that's a total of 5. I believe the zoning chart on this plan in the lower left corner, I don't know which plan you guys are looking at there, but I think it said 8, it should be 5. We're providing 5 spaces, required is 2. And that's right, 3 there and 2 underneath the structure. And that's it. And again, this was approved 2 years ago. The applicant delayed applying for a permit, which meant that the approvals expired. So we're back basically asking for the same approvals, zoning variances. Nothing has changed. The design, the placement of the structures, it's all the same. So we're hoping to get it approved tonight. Yeah, you could go to the plan if they want to see the floor plans. There. So again, those, that was, okay. So they're identical mirrored images of the townhouses. One faces Croton Avenue, the other one's towards the back with 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2.5 baths, and parking on the ground level with the entrance in midst in between the two parking garages. So that's pretty much the project, and I'll take any questions you may have.
What was the basic reason for the delay in getting started when you had it approved?
Maybe they could answer. Douglas, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Go ahead, answer that. What
Well,
was the delay?
my wife and I found out we were having a baby, and with my line of work too, I work all the time, and there's so much stuff going on. And then we were doing a move also with we bought a house renovation. So and from that variance we applied for, I never received anything in the mail saying that it would expire. So I've never done a project like this. So I had no idea it expired because I didn't receive any correspondence from the meeting that when it was approved. So, I've learned my lesson. So we're going through this whole process again just to, hopefully get this project.
Yeah, because I remember this, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that, time goes by quick. It
there
was
were-
a few years ago.
There were a few revisions to this, if you remember. The original design was slightly different.
Yeah,
We simplified it, and I think it's a nice project.
Just so the board is aware, the planning board initially received this application since it will require conditional use approval. And so it's been referred to you for consideration of the two variances. It's one variance for a driveway setback of 2 feet and one for the front yard maximum setback, and that's 19 feet. And then if you grant the variances, it will go back to the planning board for the planning board to finish their consideration of the conditional use.
okay, I have no more questions.
I have
I
a
just want to
question.
make sure that there was an easement for the driveway for both properties that,
There
is
is,
that correct?
yeah, there is going to be an easement between the two properties, basically the driveway, as well as, I believe, one of the comments from the engineer was a utility easement. Because if you look closely, part of the I believe one of the services cuts across the property in the corner. So he said that you need a utility easement as well as a access easement. On the,
Is that the Con Ed, Jaime?
Yeah, it was
right, you're close right there.
there. This right here, there's a wire, I think, that is running across in between the two properties.
Right, so right before the,
Overhead wire.
Right, okay.
Oh, electrical.
Question.
If
If I
you
may.
can see, it's right here.
Yes, Mr. Durayo.
Thank you, Mr. Gidim. I was wondering, are you the owner, is this applicant the owner of both properties, or are there two separate owners?
no, the same owner.
Okay, so you've spoken to yourself and you have no problem doing this.
Right. Douglas, you spoke to yourself, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's good. You get better answers that way usually.
Actually, the previous owners were also, I think they were brothers, and they owned the lots together as well.
Thank you. And nothing substantial has changed from what was approved by a prior board, yes? Or no?
Nothing at all,
Nothing.
except for the date. The date on the plans changed.
Okay. Then I have no more questions.
Okay, if there are no more questions, may I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second,
If there are no objections, the motion to open the public hearing shall go forth. Motion carried. The public hearing is open. Is there anyone to speak on this property? 177 specifically.
We don't have anybody with a raised hand. And let me check my email. I don't have any emails. So I believe that there is nobody here to speak on this application.
If there's no one to speak on this, then may I have a motion to close the public.
So moved.
Close.
And if
Second.
there's no objection, the public hearing for this, for 177 will be closed. The motion to carry, to close the public hearing is moved. If are there any questions from the board? If there be no questions from the
No.
board, then Amanda would let us go through the use variant,
Area variance.
area variance for this property.
Right, so remember there are two separate area variances here. So you should,
I think we're doing 177 first, right?
right, but are there not
And
two?
then there's two,
I believe there are two area variances for this property.
right?
There is a
So-
parking, the parking aisle needs a variance of 2 feet because the parking aisle is actually a shared driveway rather than setback from the neighbor's yard. And there is the front yard variance of 19 feet because there is a 15-foot maximum
Yep.
that's required in this district, and they're requesting to set the house back 34 feet, I believe, to accommodate the driveway.
Yes.
Question,
Correct.
Actually,
is the shared driveway wide enough for 2 cars?
at the same
Or-
time, to drive through at the same time.
No.
Yeah, no.
Well,
But-
when you're basically crossing over between the houses, yes, but as you come in, it's not.
Okay, but the place where there's a single access, is that as wide enough as is required by zoning?
Oh, yeah, it's more so.
Then we're fine. Okay, no more questions from me.
Joe, do you want to weigh in officially as the building inspector? Or are you comfortable with those answers?
So what is that width over by the,
The curb cut is 13 feet.
then you're fine, it's 12 feet, it has to be minimum 12 feet. So if they have 13, they're good to go.
Okay. So Marlene, would you like to take each variance separately with the criteria?
Do we need to take each variance separately?
No, you don't, but you should probably talk about how each variance, qualifies under the criteria if you're gonna do them together.
I think it would be cleaner if we take them separately then.
Okay. So let's do the 19-foot variance for front yard maximum setback first, if that's okay with you.
Mhm.
The first criteria is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance.
I do not think so.
No, I
I
don't see
don't,
where,
I don't think so either.
by the, this, again, this was already granted in the past. And I do have to say that the way the property is situated, away from the street, the size of the property lots, I don't think that would be an issue.
Okay. So the next criteria is whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance.
Not in this case.
I agree.
It is an
No.
area between
No.
two houses. There's nothing, they couldn't do anything else except fly a helicopter in, so we're good.
Okay.
I concur.
Whether the requested area variance is substantial. Related to the impact that it will cause and the totality of the circumstances.
No,
No.
No,
19 feet is,
don't believe so. 19 feet is more than 12, yeah.
right. But I don't think it's, the impact that it would cause is not that great. I think we're good.
I agree.
I concur.
Okay. And the next factor is whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
Absolutely not.
No, I think the way the plans look, it really is, I'm going to say more like shifting a driveway over, and I don't think it will cause that much of a problem.
Okay, good.
I agree.
Okay. And the last factor is whether the alleged difficulty was self-created.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Because
Like,
Well, it does. They
It's not
self-created it.
determinative.
Yeah, it's not determinative.
okay, thank you.
Good words. I like that.
So that's the first variance. Then there's the second variance for 2 feet. Where is that?
It's
2
a
feet
2 foot
driveway.
setback from the adjacent property line for the driveway.
right.
Amanda, do we need a motion on each or just or one at a time or all together?
I would just go through keep
I think
going through the criteria, and then you can decide that.
Okay.
Unless you want to do differently.
I have a question before you move on for the applicant. Since that curb cut is being moved from the original location to the one that they're showing now, and that road is part of the New York State Road, do they have all their approvals in place for the curb cut, or are you still pending on that with the New York State Department of Traffic?
they won't provide any permit until it's approved by the village, is what we were told. Once you approve the plans and give them a permit, that's when they'll submit their approvals.
You can make your approval conditional on them obtaining
Pending the,
DOT permits.
Right, they won't provide their permit until we get a building permit from the village, basically. But I think they provided a letter that we sent to you guys stating that. Or the contractor that's going to do the curb cuts went to the state and that's, I think, from the contractor, the letter saying that we need a permit from the village before a state permit for the curb cut or any work in the street can be issued a permit.
Yeah, I would just reiterate what Amanda said. You can condition the approval on on that approval from state DOT. So
Right.
it's
You can
not
put it in the
really.
motion.
Okay.
Well, I guess the question is, for them to give you the permit is one thing, but I guess the reason why I'm asking is, what if they approve this and for whatever reason the state DOT says we don't want to grant it in this location and it affects right now you'd have to come back again if it affects the need for a different variance.
Right, well, from what I was told, they don't give approvals, they only submit permits. That's what we were told.
Yeah, if the state did not,
If they'll deny the permit, then I guess.
then
You start over.
Yeah.
Right.
It's unlikely to happen.
And there's no reason for them to deny it. I mean, I don't see a reason for it. There's an existing curb cut. We're moving it over a few feet. And we're really not touching the utility lines other than adding to the sewer system and the electrical power. So there's no real reason for them to deny this.
Well, I would tell you this, we've had applicants where they've had to go to the state, like on Route 9, and sometimes the Department of Traffic can take up to a year.
Right.
Well, they'll answer to this and give the actual permit to it. So,
Hopefully their contractor that's going to do this work, he has a sort of connection with them or a relationship, and he said he'll get it quickly.
okay.
Douglas, is Is it, I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know who's
correct.
still there.
It's WD Excavation. He actually went up there to the DOT office and he showed them the plans and they said it shouldn't be a problem to issue the permit. They said everything looked okay.
So I would guess the way you said, Amanda and Jaime, is I guess it would just be on the condition and then we'll see how it goes going forward.
Yeah. So should we continue and do the criteria for the 2-foot setback?
Yes.
Okay. So again, this is 2 foot from, for the proposed driveway setback, a 2-foot minimum is required in the NC2. So this has 0 setback. Okay, so the criteria is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance.
No.
Yeah, I agree. No.
No.
Okay, that's 3.
You want to tell me why your answer is no?
I don't see where it would affect anything by giving them the variance for that. In terms of
Marginal.
the out, you know, it's marginal, really.
Yeah, it doesn't take away from the ambiance of the neighborhood. It doesn't create any kind of a hazard. It doesn't create new drainage problems or utility problems. And there's enough room for the single car all the way through, and part of the way there's enough room for the 2 cars, so there's not a problem.
Thank you.
Well said.
You may want to, in this instance, also consider the fact that this is part of another application and that this driveway also provides an access easement to the adjacent property owner. So that is another relevant point here as to why you have to be within that 2 feet buffer.
Right.
Yep, that's definitely important.
Yep.
Okay, the next factor is whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance.
No, not in this case.
No.
It's a driveway.
No.
Especially knock down the pizza place. That seems excessive.
Still won't be doable.
Good point.
Well, not if they're trying to get an access driveway that, both properties can use, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, there's no other way to do this.
I think the pizza's over here, so you'd still have to get through this property to get that access. I'm not sure.
Walk through
Probably
the-
right.
This is the Chinese restaurant over here. They could cut through the Chinese restaurant, I guess.
Oh, you can get
That they could
takeout on
do.
your way to and from.
Oh, gosh. Next factor. The requested area variance is substantial.
No,
No.
not at all.
Okay. The proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No.
No, not at all.
It is not at all.
Okay. And then the last is whether the alleged difficulty was self-created.
Yes, but it is not determinative. I love that word.
Well said.
Well said.
Okay, that's all
It's
the
not
factors.
mine, but I'll take it.
All right. Those are the 2 variances that you've just gone through the factors for. So yes, probably take 2 motions if you'd like.
Yes. So we need a motion.
I need a motion for a 19-foot variance for front yard setback.
I make
And
that motion.
Okay, I second it.
a roll call vote.
Marlene Cheatham,
Aye.
George Bailing,
Yes.
Antonio Martinez,
Where'd he go?
Yes.
okay, Kevin Griffith,
Yes.
and Bob Zariah.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes 5-0.
And we also need a zoning, an area variance for the proposed driveway setback, that, a 2-foot setback, and conditioned upon approvals from the New York State DOT
For the curb cut.
for the curb cut.
So moved.
Motion. Second.
All right, sorry, I was just writing that down. Did you want both motions to be conditioned on DOT
No.
approval?
I don't think the other one is in the driveway itself, right? I thought this one was just for the curb cut.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's,
No, neither of them have to do with the curb cut.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, it's a third motion?
no,
No, neither motion has anything to do with the curb cut.
Now I,
it has to do with what plans they're presenting you, basically.
okay.
So the curb cut is just really what's being shown on the plans and whether or not you.
That's it.
Hold on.
Okay.
The survey, I think, probably does a better job of explaining, but here's the distance from the house to the curb line, and here's how it sort of lines up directly. That access easement that it creates for the adjacent property lines up on the property line. The curb cut issue is there because they have to move the driveway from here to accommodate all of this new development. They're going to need to go and get a curb cut permit from DOT. But the curb cut is not, it has nothing to do with any of this. It has nothing to do with any of the motions in front of you.
got it.
Okay.
So did you want to make your first motion conditional, make both motions conditional?
Didn't he just say that neither of these motions have anything to do with the curb cut?
No. The condition, you should be, so if you don't condition it on him getting the approval from DOT, then technically speaking, he could go and pull a permit from the building department.
Right.
Technically.
That's reason, that's why we did it. That's why.
But
we
he
said
should not be
conditional.
able to, but he can't actually get anything on the curb done until he has a permit from the state.
Mhm.
Right.
So conditioning the ZBA variances on the permit from the state just allows the building department to check boxes and say, I can't grant you this permit until you have it. Because locally, we have this condition, even though technically they still wouldn't be able to do it anyways, but it's just good practice.
It's
The
a good
choice
idea.
here you have is to whether you want to put it on both variances or just one variance. They will have the same function. It's probably safer to put it on both variances. I would suggest just put it on.
Okay. Put it on both then.
Then to amend the first variance to include
Mhm.
the conditional approval from the DOT.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, and then in this motion for the 2-foot setback, again, conditioned on approvals from the DOT.
yes,
Correct.
understood. All right, and so you did a first and a second, and we still have to do roll call on that.
Roll call, yes.
So Marlene Cheatham,
Aye.
George Bailing,
Aye.
Antonio Martinez,
Aye.
Kevin Griffith,
Aye.
and Bob Durayo.
Aye.
Okay, that's 5-0.
Next.
Next is again, the same property, and again, the same, they're looking for a 2-foot setback where there is 0 proposed. So really, we're looking at the 175 Croton Avenue side of the property with the same issue.
Mirror image.
Mirror image of
Right.
175.
Do we need to go through, we don't need to go through everything. It's the same stuff, right?
No, it's not. It's not quite the same. So the variance it's related, but it's only one variance in this instance.
Right, there's only one
Here,
variance in this one,
It's the
right?
2-foot setback variance.
Yes.
And in this property, there is no curb cut that
No
has
curb
anything to
cut.
do with this. And so you can't, I don't believe you should condition this variance on the curb cut of an adjacent property.
Right.
So
Okay.
you would not have that same, Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, but they should not have that same condition here.
I don't think.
Is it-
No,
It's
because
a different property.
it's on this property.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a motion to approve a 2-foot variance on the driveway. Right?
Second.
Right.
To a zero setback.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, I need a second.
You have a second. I think George seconded.
Cool.
Yes.
We need to go through the use variance
Do we?
again. I mean, the area variance.
You
Open
do.
hearing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Marlene, you want to open the hearing?
Oh, can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Seconded.
Is there anyone to speak on this? Oh, motion carried. Is there anyone to speak on this? Nope. Okay. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Move close. Seconded.
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing has been motioned and closed. As we move forward, let us go through the 5 factors for this variance required for this property.
Thank you. Just for purposes of when you're moving and then seconding, if you could just say your name, because I'm having a little trouble, and I think Jamie is true too, distinguishing who's making the motions. It's hard to hear whose voice is whose. So yeah, the first factor here is as you probably know, is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance.
No.
No, as was just stated with the adjacent property, the answer is no.
Okay. The next is whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance.
No.
No.
All right. Factor 3, the requested area variance is substantial.
No, it is
No.
only 2 feet and it's a small area, even though, and again, it is adjacent to the property that was recently discussed, and it is for a shared driveway.
Yep. Okay. The next factor is whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No.
And the last factor is whether the alleged difficulty was self-created.
No.
No.
So it's not self-created here, but it was in the last one?
It is self-created, but it is not an adverse.
Determinative.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Take that word.
All right. Thank you. That's all the factors.
Since we've gone through all the factors, we do have a motion still on the floor to grant this application. The motion was put forth by Bob DeRio and seconded by George. Let us go forward with that motion.
Okay, the roll call is Marlene Cheatham,
Aye.
George Bailing,
Aye.
Antonio Martinez,
Aye.
Kevin Griffith,
Yes.
and Bob DeRio.
Aye.
5-0, the motion passes.
Thank you, sir and sir. Happy building.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Do
Have a
we
good
get
night.
free pizza when this is done?
He doesn't own a pizza place.
Yesterday pizza, yeah.
Have a good
Doesn't
night.
know Chinese place either.
The one they put too much red pepper on, I know.
Oh, you could never have too much red pepper. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. The next application up is 158 Revolutionary Road. And so we do have members of the public here. So I'm going to promote Ellen back. Ellen Kira Geiger. Ellen, if you could turn on your camera and your microphone, we can see you this time.
Okay, start video. Can you see me?
Yes, and
Yes.
your architect. Your architect is she here today?
I don't know where she is. I think she's been under the weather, which makes me nervous, you know. When somebody says they're under the weather, you kind of wonder.
What kind of weather?
If it's today's weather, it's a good thing. If it's COVID, it's a terrible thing.
All right,
But
tell
I
us
think
your
I
story.
can help you out. She trained me well, and I think I can answer any question that you might have.
Well, since this is the first time we've actually met you here, you would have to go over the application to the
Sure.
board.
Fine,
So if you would like me to pull up any documents to help
every
you,
document.
let me know. Every document. All right.
I didn't know I had to pull up documents.
I have all the documents that you submitted here.
Thanks,
So zone application. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your application?
Okay, so what we're doing is just a side yard, 3-story extension, just to add, I mean, it's a small house and we've been living in it for 32 years, so it's time. Just to make it a little bit easier as we get older, to put a playroom downstairs for, I guess, any person that might move in after us. To put on the first floor a laundry room so that we don't have to go to the basement. We are getting older. And screened-in porch. And then upstairs, we're just going to put another closet because when this house was built in 1939, I don't think people had clothes. So we're putting in another closet and a small bathroom. That's it. Nothing fancy.
So here is the drawing of the property. This
Just so
is
you
the-
guys know, we are below road level by a lot. You can't even, you won't be able to see it from the road.
What is this? Oh.
What's what?
What did you do? You coached it? Yeah.
I don't know, am I hearing?
George, I'm going to mute you real fast. I apologize.
Somebody's poaching something.
All right. So the specific area variance that is requested.
I believe it's small.
It's not specific enough.
Oh, for God's sake, what does
All
that
right.
mean? I'm writing down everything you need.
All right.
You have the worksheet?
I have our worksheet, which needs to be fixed. I have the worksheet that's listed here, which has the accurate, I think the updated information based off of the survey.
Right.
The proposed setback is 18 feet, 7.5 inches. The required setback is 30 feet. So the variance
12 feet?
is
0.3, right?
I have 11.3.
Yes, that's about right. I said 12.
yeah. Correct. So they need an 11'3" side yard setback.
Yeah, she submitted an updated zoning worksheet that has that, remember in the whiteout?
Yes. Let me pull that up. I'm sorry.
Sorry, guys.
I don't know. Do we have that? Is it here? Yes, we do. Hold on.
Just go with yes, we do.
Well, I have to show it to the board. All right, here it is, 11.3.
Right.
I'm not sure that that's accurate. I want to just go here and take a look. I think that the drawings do not reflect that. So it's not 11 feet and 3 inches. It's actually,
She put 7.5 inches and that had to be converted into.
yeah. Well,
The
they're
feet,
12. They're
right.
12 inches in a foot, and I think what you did is you sort of rounded it differently. It's actually 5 inches, closer to 5 inches than 3 inches. So it's 11 feet, 4.5 inches.
So it's 11 feet, 4.5 inches?
No, it comes out to, when you have 18 feet, 7.5 inches, that means they're saying that it's 18.62. So she would need the variance for the difference, which would be about 11.3 or something like that, 11.28. She rounded up to 11.3.
It'd
Okay,
be
that's what they asked
11.38
for.
actually. 6.2 plus 3.8 is 1. So we're getting real.
5.5 divided by 12 is, so it's somewhere around, they're about 11.3. It seems pretty reasonable. Remember, they have to give us a survey anyway at the end of this to confirm the variance granted. So,
Oh, so we'll redo it, you mean after the construction is done?
yeah, you're required to do an as-built survey to confirm that.
Yes, but it's really important that you get this right, because if you build it beyond what you're allowed to, then you'll be back in front of this board asking for an inch.
Oh, no, I won't do that.
Okay.
No, that's ridiculous. You got to do it right the first time.
It's also important that we get the number right here, though. That's
Sure.
why
Mhm.
we're kind of going over this.
Good, so then you let me know, and we'll make sure we get it done that way.
I would recommend, based off of the plans that they've presented, that you don't use that zoning worksheet number, that you instead use the 11 feet, 4.5 inch number.
4.5, you got it.
I don't know, Joe, would you like to weigh in on that? Rather than use the imperial measurement rather than the,
I mean, normally when they do the, if they did the site plan using inches, they should show the conversion of it into the decimal point, because that's how it's going to come back on a survey.
Convert to decimal, okay.
It's going
So-
to come back when your land surveyor actually does the survey anyway. He's not going to put in 18 feet, 7.5 inches. They're going to put, 18.3 feet or whatever it is, 18
Oh,
18.6.
God. As long as it's not metric, I'm okay.
well, it seems like your architect did both. So that's, in some places they use 32.5 here. Over here, they use 30 feet, 0 inches here. There's some inconsistency in what was provided.
Yeah,
I think that if the board is willing to consider this today, that they should request that there's an updated zoning worksheet provided as a condition.
you have my word.
So are you recommending that we wait for a new zoning worksheet or?
No.
just- Okay,
Just put it in, we'll say you have inches and not inches and this and that and everything else.
I'll have her make it
Okay.
consistent.
What is the exact variance that you will be considering?
so are we looking at 11.3 feet as the exact?
No,
No.
11.45.
It's 11 feet, 4.5 inches. It's closer to 11.4 than it is to 11.3 based off of the numbers.
We'll go 11.45 for you.
Yeah,
Just-
11.5. Let it
Oh,
go
now
with
you're at
that.
11.5?
Yeah,
So
That's what I think.
11.5?
yeah,
Okay.
make it even, half an inch
Okay.
here and there.
11.5 is good.
So,
Yeah,
Do we know what was noticed?
That's a great point.
huh?
But
Jamie?
when they do the notice, does the notice specifically give the dimension, or does it say basically just the side yard variance?
I think I can pull it up, but I think the notice said a side yard
Side
variance.
yard variance. I
Yeah.
think I saw that.
Yeah, I think I saw that too.
That's an important question.
Jamie, do you want to weigh in? 'Cause this is all I have for the referral form, which usually
I
is what.
can't weigh in as I do not have that notice in front of
I will
me.
get it, honey. Can I go into my Yahoo? I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna pull it up right now. My husband is manning the emails. Search for Jamie Kane, Jaimie. Actually, the one that came in today. It's the same one, Jamie, right?
No, the one that came in today is different.
Oh, it is?
Mhm.
The notice for today is different?
Yes, because it's for the BAR.
Okay, so you want me to scroll down to the one you sent me way back?
You would need to find the one from the zoning
Okay,
board,
just
yes.
type in the search bar, Jamie, Jaimie, please. Okay. All right, I'm moving over to the big computer that doesn't have a camera, so I can read it to you. Hold on. Jaimie. There we go, Jamie Kane. All right, ready? Let's look. Okay, let me scroll. Can I have the mouse? Oh my God. Okay, find it. I will find it. Let's see. It says, and I was so good, I brought it, what, the next day, right, Jamie?
Mm-hmm.
I was very good. You give me a task and I'm there. I'm still scrolling. I will read it to you once I find it. Who knew that I needed to do this, but I'm okay. Neighborhood notices.
The
Okay,
shadow knows.
got it. Ready? It says, please take notice. I wish I could share my screen, but it's a different screen. It says, please take notice that the meeting will be conducted, blah, blah, blah. Community center, please log on. Oh, wait, that's just the notice of invitation, right? That's not the right one.
If you look under where it says applicant request.
Oh, okay. Okay, applicant request. Applicant request. Applicant is seeking a side yard variance in order to construct an addition, parentheses 270-09E parentheses. Does that mean anything?
So it's not an additional variance, it's just that they're noticing that they have a side yard variance. So if you want to play safe and grant the variance and round it up to 11.5, then it's been noticed.
Right. I was just concerned if the notice included an exact dimension.
It does not.
Well, it's,
So I would say, maybe you can just email back that to Jamie Kane just to have it on record that it's have it as it's indicated.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I mean, Jamie, I don't know if you have that in your record or she needs to send it to you.
Jamie sent it to me, so I'm sure she will, but I'm glad to send it back to her.
Okay, as long as you have it.
No,
record.
I do have it. I have it in my record.
Oh, okay, okay, all right.
So with that being said, are we okay to move forward with opening the public hearing?
yes.
I think the answer is yes.
Okay. So is there anyone here or anyone on Zoom or on the phone to speak to this?
Motion to open a public hearing?
Can I have a motion to open the public hearing? Sorry.
I move to open the public hearing.
Seconded.
Second, if there's no objection to opening the public hearing, the motion shall go forward. Motion to open a public hearing is granted, is approved. Is there anyone here to speak on this property? Jaime?
Nope.
Did you leave
Nope.
us?
There's not. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's not.
All right. Since there is no one here to speak on this particular property at 158 Revolutionary Road, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close
Motion to
public
close.
hearing.
Second,
I think that was Kevin and George.
George. Yes.
If there's no objection, motion to close the public hearing. we'll go forward. There's no objection, motion carried. Let us go through the area variance for this property for 11.5, I believe is where we landed. Area side for a side yard setback for this for 158 Revolutionary Road, ZBA 29/2020.
Okay, the first factor is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance.
No.
No.
No, it's
No,
not
the way
seen
the
from the
property
road.
is situated, it's not seen from the road, so it will not make a difference to anyone nearby.
All right. The next factor is whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance.
Not in this case. I think putting on an addition, increasing the square footage to a small house actually increases the use of the house, and it's a small amount of area variance that they're looking for, even putting in an addition.
Okay. Yeah, it's also important to just consider how the house is situated on the property. The programmatic changes they're considering, if that would be, feasible in some other layout. But
The house is pushed back and below the street level.
Street level, right.
Yeah.
okay. Whether the requested area variance is substantial.
No.
No.
It's not
I don't think
substantial.
it is.
Not at all.
Because
Considering the size of the property, she's really only asking for an 11-foot variance, 11.5-foot variance.
all right. And the fourth factor is whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No.
Doesn't appear to.
No, but being that the house is set back and is below, kind of below the street level, it's not going to make
Affect
any changes.
anything, yeah.
Right.
The last factor is whether the alleged difficulty is self-created.
I would say yes, because she's putting on the addition, but it is not a determining factor in this case.
I concur.
Correct.
I agree.
Those are the 5 factors.
Okay, since we've gone through the 5 factors, if it is the determination of the board to grant this motion, can I have a motion to either,
Motion to approve?
I second.
Are we
again, I
making-
believe that was Kevin who.
And George.
And Tony,
I'm sorry. It was Antonio who
second.
made the second and George who made the motion.
And are we making this motion conditional on them providing an updated zoning worksheet?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The roll call is Marlene Cheatham,
Aye.
George Bailing,
Aye.
Antonio Martinez,
Exciting.
Aye. Sorry. Aye.
okay, Kevin Griffith,
Aye.
and Bob Durayo.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Miss Ellen.
Thank you.
Happy building.
Thank you so much. Is that it for me tonight?
That is it for you tonight. Please make sure that your architect provides the proper paperwork.
Oh, Jamie knows I'll be there tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
If you come by tomorrow morning, you'll be by yourself.
Right, I'll
You'll
see
be
you on
by yourself. So,
All right, you guys have a day off. I don't. I'm so excited. Thank you. My laundry.
I know you'll be there, so I gotta warn you because you'll be there, and we
No,
won't.
I promise. I'll come on Thursday. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited.
Take
All right.
care.
Bye. Have a great
Bye-bye.
day off tomorrow. Bye.
Okay, that ends our new business of the board, so we're going back to continuing business of the board.
Okay, I know. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
I am gonna remove her and
Let her.
Mover and a groover, right?
try to move her over to attendees so she can talk.
Yeah.
All right, so we have first application listed here is 284 Spring Street. And I'm going to bring in Dan Remmer. No, I'm sorry, wrong person. Not Dan Remmer. He'll be probably speaking later, but Wayne Spector.
Wayne Spector.
And so we have Wayne Spector, and then we have Jose Tamay, who's the owner. And hi, Wayne, if you turn on your camera and you're unmute yourself.
I saw it and then I was, can I ask you one question? You said.
Is that Wayne? That's not Wayne. Wayne looks different.
You got a haircut.
Yeah.
You gotta be, I mean, a shooting or something.
Does he need an area variance to change his hair?
Wayne, can you hear us?
I'm here.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Sorry. Good evening, everybody. How are
Good
you?
evening.
Here we are again on this application. When we last met, the board had taken comments from the public and also considered all the submissions and asked for certain additional submissions, which I have sent in, one of them being a copy of the mortgage note, which you specifically asked for. And I also forwarded or sent in by email a cost option sheet prepared by Hilda Duque, who is my client's architect, who should be also, I believe, present. I think she was going to be joining the meeting. I'm not sure if she is or not. So she prepared a cost option sheet detailing the 4 different options for the building, including the costs of those. Noting that each one of those, other than the single family option, would require some form of a variance, I believe, since the 2 family had been discontinued as well at some point. So I have, like I said, we had done a full presentation. I think everything was included in my submissions initially. And I'm just, this is the purpose of being here tonight, is to, take further questions and just make sure that you've received the supplemental information.
We did get this supplemental information. I believe everything we asked for was submitted. At this point.
I would note that we did get a letter from the board did get a letter back from the EAC finding that the use variance was in conformance with the LWRP. So that should have been mailed out to you earlier today. It's not online, but that was reviewed by the EAC. That was one of the things that needed to be done.
That was done last evening. That's correct. So I don't know if you want me to go over any other aspects of the application. I thought it was, we went over it in detail last time around, but my client is proposing my client resides and owns the next door property and is proposing to use the former storefront, which still exists in the same physical manner that it was when the building had a CO as a store with apartments for a small neighborhood bake shop, and for which they're going to own or occupy. They're going to run it and they live next door and renovate the apartments upstairs. Understand that we need a use variance and a parking variance as well to allow for the use.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board? Any discussion from the board at this point?
Does anybody have any questions in regards to the mortgage documents that were submitted?
No.
For the cost estimate?
No.
Yeah, I would just remind you that if you have any questions or anything that you want to talk, it's adding to the record is important.
I mean, I don't think the most recent cost estimate is on the agenda here. This pro forma is not the most recent one.
Oh, I can't open the documents there, but I know it was emailed to
Yeah. Yeah, we
into the board.
Yeah. Give me a moment. Let's see if I can pull it up.
Jaime, I think it's in with the new paperwork that he sent.
Yeah, just give me a minute. I'm just gonna pull it up.
Well, I sent them in separate emails, so they were not together.
I just wanted to say hi to everybody in case you have any questions. I'm Hilda with the
Hi, Hilda.
architects.
I think, just to note that it was a very short mortgage agreement. I believe it was 6 years or 7-year mortgage agreement.
Drink.
There was a reason for that because my client, because of the condition of the building, my client had really no choice but to take owner financing. The institutional financing was not available to him at the time. So these were the best terms at that point that were being offered to him. But you are correct. And he will have to refinance at the conclusion. It's true.
So what is that 6-year mortgage? What he's basing his negative return on investment on?
For the next 5+ years, yes, that's certainly a big factor. That's correct.
So after 5 or 6 years, that could completely disappear.
It could, but if I pull out the mortgage for a second. I believe that there is that is correct.
If there's no other discussion from the board, I may have a motion to open the public hearing.
Open to move.
I second.
So that was opened by George and seconded by
Antonio.
Antonio. Thank you. There is no Objection to opening the public hearing, the motion would be carried.
All right, we have Dan Raymer.
Oops, start video. Good evening.
Hi, Dan.
I'm here on behalf of some of the neighbors and the store that's on the corner. Just want to reiterate our objections. I think the issues that we believe exist is that this will be a problem in terms of traffic. We still have to get to parking, which we've seen that there's really no space for parking. We don't believe that, use variance is intended to be difficult to get because we don't want spot zoning. It appears that the applicant may not have met the burden, especially with regard to the problem being self-created. This is not a situation where there's a vendee who's looking to maybe get to change something. This is in fact somebody who knows about the building and bought it knowing the problems that exist and is now trying to change the zoning to meet their own desires. As much as I'm sympathetic to that, but at the same time, my clients are not sympathetic. They believe that it would be bad for the neighborhood and bad for their business. So on that basis, I just want to reiterate the written comments that we sent in last time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak on this?
There's nobody else listed here. And I'm going to check my email.
May I make a quick comment just in response to Mr. Reamer?
There are no emails as well.
There's no emails as well. Okay. You may make a quick comment, Mr. Spector.
Thank you very much. Just on the issue of the nature of the self-created issue, which this board has addressed similar situations that are at least analogous to this, where they've accepted the fact that if a structure or property is in a certain condition, which makes a use variance perhaps more appropriate for the proposed use, that is not necessarily a self-created condition. That's a condition that had existed previously. This is a building which was constructed for this type of purpose, and over the years was never converted, and it continues to exist in its current condition. So that is not a condition which my client created. I understand the board's going to consider it however they interpret that, but I just want to bring that point. And I also want to just bring out a point that I think it's a little disingenuous for a corner deli operator who has product lines well in excess of what my client is proposing, and has people coming in, I'm sure constantly all day to complain or to bring up the issue of traffic or use. So again, just for the purpose of getting my comment in, venting it as you may, I just want that comment added. But I thank you. And everybody has obviously a right to say what they want in these meetings and be heard. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spector.
We did get a comment in the question and answer, and the comment is from Rosie Dennis. It says that the parking is a real issue. I'm not sure if Rosie wants to speak. If she does, she should raise her hand. Or if she just wanted to leave the comment in there. She's raised her hand.
Okay. Does she want, you gonna let her in?
Yep, she's in.
Hi, Miss Dennis, you need to unmute.
All right, there you go. You want your face or no?
No.
All right. So. Hi, good evening. How are you?
Okay. How are you?
Good, good, good. So the issue is basically it's the parking. There's a really like the parking situation there on Spring Street is really bad. You know, you have people who, you know, live on the streets and, you know, like they live in the houses and they have to park on the streets. People are parking in driveways. They're pulling into our driveway where they don't need to, you know, be pulling into our driveways. Just everything is, you know, it's just packed there. I mean, you have people walking like 2 blocks from their house in order to get a parking spot on the street. Also, that house, I know the owner personally, and she lived on the first floor where they're saying that was a storefront. That's where she lived. The 2 apartments upstairs were vacant. And my concern is, which if you're going to have you know, 2 families in that house upstairs, which were vacant from the beginning. Now you're going to put 2 families there, let's say 2 cars. Now you have 2 cars per family, which will be 4 cars. Let's say they have children that, you know, drive who are older. Let's say they have 1 or 2 and they also have cars. That'll be 4 extra cars. Plus, you're also adding in, you know, the bakery traffic where, you know, if you have, you know, you have people coming in, you know, and, you know, trying to park. And he's saying that he has the house next door where they could use that parking. But, you know, what's not to say that they, you know, end up selling that property, and then where are they gonna, you know, put their cars, or, you know, for the bakery, you know, when they come in to, you know, to pick up stuff or, you know, drop up stuff, even like for deliveries and stuff. So that's my concern. The biggest concern here is, honestly, is the parking. It is a big issue. I don't know if you guys, you know, drive by there, you know, you can see that the parking is a really big issue there. And there is a lot next door to them, but that lot is privately owned. It's not, you know, a lot where anybody could go in there and just park.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak on this issue?
Nope.
Nope, okay. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
So moved, Bob.
Second,
Sorry.
Tony.
Can we clarify?
I think Bob made the motion and Tony seconded?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no objection, the motion to close the public hearing is granted or shall go forth. I think we're at the point, Amanda, when we can go through the use variance criteria. Let's go forward.
Okay. The first criteria is whether the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return, provided that lack of return is substantial as demonstrated by competent financial evidence.
I'm not so sure, and this is me, that they can't find based on the fact that their mortgage is such a short mortgage, and their expenses are their expenses. In any other property, I think if things were different, I think that they would be able to, they would be fine. And I'm not so sure that we can, that I would be so inclined to say that they can't.
Well, they bought the building and they had, you know, a 6% mortgage. I think that's what they said, short term. And they had plans for the building, but in the meantime, that hadn't been used as a store for an awful long time. And then they compared to the deli down the street. But of course, that place has also parking. So it's a little different. You can't compare the two in my mind. And plus we have the serious parking situation on Spring Street there, and putting a commercial property type thing in there will bring in more cars and cause the, you know, the additional problems that more cars cause when there's no parking. About it.
I agree. I look at the mortgage and I see a problem that's going to be alleviated in a few years once refinanced. So the whole purpose of getting the use variance for a inability to realize a return is really a short-term problem that will correct itself.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Okay, is that good? Are you done with that first factor?
Yes.
Okay, the next factor is whether the alleged hardship relating to the property in question is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood.
Oh, it seemed to me when I've walked down Spring Street, there are other properties there that are also right up on the front, right on the sidewalk, that look as if they originally may have had a business use in there that has been converted. So I don't know that I would call this unique particularly.
I'm good. I think, Nina, to that, maybe 40 years ago, it would not have been so unique, but times have changed. I think the buildings especially on that end of Spring Street, I cannot picture, besides the deli on the corner, there really isn't anything on that end that has a business on the first floor.
No, what I was meaning is I think there are some other houses there that are built that made me think that early on they may have had a business, but it has since been converted into housing.
That's
so
correct.
It's not unique in that sense.
I would keep in mind that when they're referring to it being a unique issue, the question is whether or not the need for relief to be provided by allowing an additional use is unique to this property. Is this the only property that can only function without a hardship, without it being that type of use?
Right. So as to what Jaime just said, that even noticed in their pro forma and the paperwork that they sent, I think having a bakery was just one of the different types of conversions that could happen in this building. So is this the only thing that could happen there? Then the answer to that would be no.
Well, I think that also goes to the whole cost estimate thing.
Right.
Also broke out the available options in terms of, and this is a requirement for a use variance, breaking out the available options under zoning, whether those all would be feasible and provide a return. That's a showing that's required. If all of the permitted uses under the zoning cannot provide a reasonable return, which is, I believe, what you had asked for when you asked for the updated cost estimate, then they can't meet that criteria. I know I'm jumping back, but it relates in terms of what we were just talking about with the breakdown of different uses. So does anyone have anything else to say on uniqueness? Okay, so the next factor is whether the requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood.
This is where we get into the issue, I think, of parking. and the lack thereof on that street, especially on that end of Spring Street. I think that the, the neighbors and the people in the area, both at this current meeting and the meeting of last month, both by email and in writing and on the meeting agenda itself, all, there were numerous objections based on the fact that there's limited parking in that area. And it's difficult because, yes, there's a deli on the corner, but the deli does have its own parking and parking spaces. And yes, there are people who park on the street to run in and out, but in this case, there is technically no parking if they put a bakery there that would be set aside for the use of the bakery.
And also, I think it's really single family or multifamily homes in the neighborhood and not a commercial area. So by putting a mixed use business in there, you are altering the essential character of the neighborhood. I think the only other thing in the area is a laundromat and this deli. So,
right, and technically the laundromat is 3 blocks north. 2, 3.
Yeah, I would note also that the according to their documents, the deli is at least 200 feet away.
Right.
All right, does anyone have anything else to add with respect to that criteria?
Nope.
No.
Sorry, Jamie or Jaime, if you were trying to share something.
Yeah, I just wanted to show this is their documentation and shows the distance between the deli, which is right here, and their property. And you can see each one of these lots are about 25 feet. So it's 25, 50, 100 feet, 200 feet. So about 225 to 250 feet away from that deli.
Okay. The last factor is whether the alleged hardship has not been self-created.
I think it is self-created.
I agree.
They bought the property recently. They knew the building, they knew the zoning because they live right there. So, yeah, I see it as self-created.
I agree. That has not been a commercial property for many decades. And they should have looked into that before they spent the money to purchase it.
George, were you speaking?
No, I agree with that.
I agree also. They should have looked into it. I think Bob Dario's point is right on point.
Okay. Those are the 4 factors. If the applicant, I have to just, based on what your code says and what New York State law says, that each of these factors are required in order for your board to grant the use variance.
So with that being said, since we really haven't been able to kind of walk past any of the factors, I think at this point we would have to deny this application.
Yes, but we have to take a vote, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would need a motion.
So moved.
Second, George.
All right. Just want to note that for purposes of SECRA and the LWRP, if you're denying the application, I don't see any need for you to make a SECRA determination or a finding of consistency. So before you do the roll call, I just wanted to note that on the record. So the roll call is Marlene Cheatham.
Aye to deny.
George Bailing,
Deny.
Antonio Martinez,
Deny.
Kevin Griffith,
Deny.
and Bob Dario.
Denied.
Okay, so that is 520 to deny the application.
And just to be clear, that is to deny the application to put the commercial building on the first floor.
Yes, to deny the use variance application.
Right, to deny the use variance application.
Thank you for clarifying.
I would absolutely tell them to go back and look at some of the other things that they had put forward.
Yeah, I would only note that if they look to expand the property from an existing two-family to connect the downstairs to a two-family, I do not believe that requires any variances. And if they were looking to change the use from a two-family to a three-family, that would require a use variance. Maybe Joe, you can weigh in on that, but I believe that is correct.
Yeah, that is correct. They can, the size of the, if as long as it's a two-family, they can increase the size of the apartment.
Right.
But if they create a third apartment, that would put them back in front of your board for another use, for an attempt of a use variance.
A use variance or an area variance?
If they try to do a three-family, that would be a use variance.
Okay.
Well, we can cross that bridge when and if we come to it.
Right. But again, increasing the size of the second floor apartment does not require them to come before.
No, I mean, the space that's downstairs, it depends if what it's being used as currently. I don't know if that's already part of a residential use or if it's not. If it's a storage or if it's something else and they're trying to increase it into habitable living area, like to create more bedrooms or living room, it would come back to you because the house is already a non-conforming two-family in a single-family zone district. If they're increasing the living space by more than 10%, they would need a variance for that.
Okay.
That's an area variance though, so it's a lot
easy, right? It's a different. Okay.
May I ask you one quick question? Sorry, just to make sure I got this clear. So if we are joining the two apartments, we don't need to come back to you, or we have to come back to you anyways because we now need an area variance?
Well, right now, what is that first floor space?
It's a storage.
Then if they're gonna add to the size of the apartment, then they would need to go for an area variance.
Again,
that's depending on the size of the expansion, correct?
Yeah, if it's more than 10%. So you'd calculate the size of the current apartment that they want to add that to, and whatever that square footage is. If you're going to increase it more than 10%, then you would have to come to the zoning board for a variance for any amount that you go over the 10%.
It's definitely more than 10%. So
Yeah, and if you'd like, we do have we can set up a meeting and do a pre-app meeting for the application to talk about all the details on that. So if you have any kind of more detailed questions, we can go over it at that time. We do them every Wednesdays, so we can just, if you want to send an email to Jamie Kane to set that up, and we can set something up for next week.
Not this week, next week.
yeah, I will let that to the owner now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Hilda.
Just asking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
We are up to 24 Aqueduct Street, ZBA 0620.
Yes, we are. And we have Mr. Fajardo is here, and we have Dan Remmer. He is here for the applicant this time. We have Susan Reardon, who's the architect.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam Chairwoman, members of the board. This is our second appearance. We actually maybe our third appearance, my second appearance. I'm wondering if how you'd like to do this. Would you like us to just say our piece and then ask questions, or do you want to just start up with questions? We have submitted additional documentation, I think more detail that was suggested from the last meeting. It looks like when I'm looking at the screen online, it looks like a lot of the items were disaggregated, but we also sent you an aggregated file with a table of contents. So if we refer to something, it would be easier to get to that page if that's easier for you.
Table of contents is up right now on your screen.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to start?
Please do.
Please do.
Okay, thank you. Well, as you know, Henry, he purchased this property based on the available information that he had. So he had information from the realtor in the form of listing information, and they foiled the village or the town and saw what information was there regarding the property. So he bought the property, and then it became apparent that the situation was different than had been revealed in the documents, and that is that there appears to be a bottom. There's 3 levels, and there's a bottom storage area that looks like that has been. So the question is now that he looks at it and he goes, "What can I do with this property?" And what we're asking for is to turn this 2-family into a 3-family, which requires a use variance. If you look on pages 2 through 8 on this on the large file, what it does is shows acquisition costs, and it shows the price. Basically, that's just the price. And if you look at really the budget, which is pages 9 and 10, what we have is 2 different. We have some years. So some of the financials with regard to the here we go. We have 19 and 20 and 20 and 21. What you'll see is that some of these are based on actual numbers from operating the 2-family, and some of them are based on estimates. What we've basically come to conclude is that a 2-family is not a viable situation under these circumstances. So Henry, I think he spoke with Joe, and they were talking about what to do with the storage space. There's been discussion about maybe turning that storage space into part of one of the apartments so that it would be a 2-family but larger. And so first thing is we see where we are with the budget. These are pretty much the numbers. Some of the backup for these numbers in terms of what we think rentals will be is based on some of the information that we got from, let me see, which one I'm looking at. The realtor estimates, that's page 23 to 31. That shows what they think they could get as far as whether it was a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, and if the 2-bedroom, if the first and second floors were made into 1 bedroom requiring a staircase, if you look at the extra, what you're really going to get out of that extra space in that neighborhood, we believe that it's not enough to make the project viable. So we believe that the only viable way to run this is as a 3-family. I should point out that that's the summary of the financials, is that we looked at doing it as a 2-family. We don't think we can make it. Looked at it as a 3-family. We can make it. Looked at it as a 2-family with the first and second levels being connected. Still doesn't come out as being enough revenue to make the project worthwhile or give the return on investment. I should also note that we have an estimate here that's been provided on page 53, which is it's an email that says that if we put a staircase in, it increases the insurance premiums. So it raises some of the costs as well.
And if I may interject for a minute, one of the suggestions that the town had offered is to put a spiral staircase connecting the two. And I'm personally against it. I believe it's a liability, and you know, a family with some kids running up and down a spiral staircase, I believe is not workable. If I was forced to combine the two units, I would have to put a regular wooden, you know, staircase. That way it would limit my liability, and it'll also cost more if I did that. So it's not necessarily the fact that there's stairs that are going to increase the cost. It's the fact that, you know, we are against having a spiral staircase, you know, into the unit, combining the two if we weren't allowed our usage variance.
And I believe there are some estimates also, pages 15 through 17, which show you the actual cost of putting in the staircase, which is actually quite considerable. I think it's about $25,000. Am I mistaken with that, Henry?
No, you're not. To put in the staircase, I'm estimating about $24,180 based on two quotes. This was, of course, the lowest one. The metal staircase would come in at approximately $15,000, which is still significant. But again, I believe that a metal spiral staircase is a liability. As an owner, I'm looking to minimize any and all liability. And also, you know, dragging furniture up and down, I believe is not the best, you know, spiral staircase is not the best way to go. And either way, you know, I had already budgeted $25,500 to make the basement conforming. And now with an additional $24,000 or $14,000, you know, the cost to recoup that investment is going to be, you know, it's going to be a negative down the road for a very long time.
So then we looked and we said, all right, so we think that the three-family is the only way to do this in an economically viable way. But what about the neighborhood? How does that you know, how does that going to work out? So we looked at the other houses in the neighborhood. So if you look at our exhibit on pages 32 to 42, we've taken pictures of all the other properties up and down the block, up and down Aqueduct. And basically none of them are positioned to do what we would like to do. They're just such different, there you go. You look, this is, you go through the different houses, and there's really no, there's no application here where they would be able to create an apartment. In fact, many of these buildings don't even have garage, at least not in the front like that.
And most of the area, there's an aerial picture. Most of the area are 4 families, 3 families. There's a 6 family, and I believe there's a 7 family.
Well, we'll do that on the next question. So we think we're uniquely situated anyway, because as you can see, there's not too many garages at all, not too many places where somebody could actually add an apartment. Actually, and look at this picture right here. I think this is the aerial view that you see here. If you look closely, you see that this is the block. So there's, I think there's 4 2 families. Let's see, what do we got? 7 3 families, 1 6 family, 1 7 family, 3 4 families. So we're going to go, we want to go from a 2 to a 3. I don't think we're even going to be noticed in this particular area, but also you see there's a large commercial property right in the middle. But even if you take that out, you have a majority of the structures are more or 3 family or more in that neighborhood. So we don't think that we're going to change the essential character of the neighborhood from going from 2 to 3.
And if I may interject too, the work that we're proposing to do will not require any additional square footage. It will not require any outside work other than removing a garage door and, you know, finishing off that garage door to look like the rest of the buildings. So we're not going to be adding more square footage to the outside or making any significant, we're not going to make any change to the outside other than the removal of a garage door and add in the same brick that's there already on the building.
So we believe that we've presented the reasons for the 4 indicia for a use variance. To summarize, the information that was available on the property that was gotten from the village and from the realtor turned out to be not what the real situation was. We believe that we're not going to change the essential neighborhood character of the neighborhood. We believe that this property, if you look at the houses on the block, that there's no other house that has the opportunity to do what we can do here. And we don't think that we can get a reasonable return with two family, even if we take the extra space and combine it. It doesn't, if you take the cost and you also take the rent is not going to jump enough to make a difference. So on those bases, we're open for questions. Unless Henry wants to say something.
No, Dan, I think I'm good. I think, and I mean, I don't know if it, in addition to what Dan talked about as far as my purchasing the property and the MLS was not accurate. And, we did the best. The realtor went to the town and paid, the small fee to get the FOIL to get the information on the property. This was also an auction and it was already foreclosed. So again, buying the auction, I had a limited amount of time. I believe I had 30 days to purchase the property. So it wasn't that, we had months or weeks to be able to, to do due diligence. We did as best as we could with the time allotted from the minute the auction went online and the minute, I was awarded it to 30 days approximately later when we closed on the property.
I have a question. So did you check what the zoning was on this property before you bought it?
I'll be honest with you, I did not know. I was under the impression that it was already per the MLS listing, and for the information on the auction site, it was 2-family over commercial storage space.
And so it didn't occur to you that you would want to verify that with the village?
Well, I did. We went to the town. The real estate broker went to the town and got a FOIL request, and the information that came back that was originally submitted with my application back in February, it came back 2-family over commercial storage space, and that was my original intent, was to buy it with the storage, intact, because I do have a separate business, and I was planning on using that, for myself, for my business, renting it out to myself. But then it wasn't the storage. And then I believe from the last meeting, it was made clear to me that if it's not in use for over a year, there was a conversation in our last meeting, if it had been sitting there for over a year, then it defaults to its original, definition, I guess. And I couldn't answer the question because as far as I know, on the way when I bought the property, it looked like it had been sitting for well more than a year. But I would not have known that at the time when I bought it, that, because it's been over a year, it would default back to a 2-family period.
How much did you purchase the property for?
That's up on page right here. Give me 1 second. I'm looking at my notes. I purchased the property for $273,000. That was just for the if you can go up, yeah. I mean that's fine too. That's the actual closing statement from the attorneys. I paid $273 for it, and there's also on page 2 of the presentation, the closing costs were $10,624, which is right here on this sheet. I had a rehab spending. I had two expenses. One was $34,497, and the other one was $3,500. That's what I used already to get the 2 apartments upstairs up and running. We had to do tile, we had to do bathrooms, we had to paint. There was a lot of work that was done on the outside in the sense of just cleaning up the area. There was a drainage issue in the front of the ground floor apartment or garage. There's a drain and it was clogged, and when it would rain, the basement would be flooded by 2 or 3, 4 inches depending on the rain.
Jamie,
I'm sorry.
so go up to page 2 on this document. You'll see all the numbers.
Yeah.
Jaime.
I'm sorry, Jaime.
We have a Jamie here and a Jaime here, so
I'm
you gotta be
sorry,
clear who you're talking to.
My apologies. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, so that the 32,497 draw 1 and the 35,000 draw 2 was just to get the property up and running and get it safe and ready. I had to conduct a survey, $1,000. The architect and the attorney, these costs are for the zoning board current conditions now with the zoning board. I did not pay for an architect or an attorney when I originally purchased the property in 2019. I had a 1-year balloon note, which I had to extend, which cost another $4,700. I also have attached, the note from the bank, which I believe the next 2 pages or 3 pages are confirming that. So my current investment total to date, not including the operational expenses for the last year and a half, is $327,515.
The current value of the property.
The current value of the property is anywhere between $350 and $380, depending on the condition that it's in. And that was from the appraiser when I bought the property. It was valued at $350, but that was 18 months ago, after the work had been complete.
Can I ask one quick question? You said that it was a 2-family over commercial store. Where did you get that from the assessor?
No, sir, I did not. I got that information from the MLS listing, from the auction website, and when the real estate broker, Carla, she went and did the FOIL to get information. She came back with a bunch of COs that confirmed that at one point it was somebody had converted it into an illegal apartment, and then they were forced to bring it back. I believe in 2009, maybe they were forced to bring it back to its original. I'm pulling out the paperwork right here. To its original, restored to illegal use from habitable space to commercial garage storage. So the documents that I had received, and there's about 4 or 5 of them, and I had submitted these in February with my original application. All the information I got from the village of Austin showed that it was for storage, commercial garage / storage.
Are you saying that I'm lost? You said that there was a violation that said it was converted illegally into a commercial storage and they had to put it back to a 2-family?
Yeah, and that was back in 2005, I believe. And currently in that area, you can see that there was on the floor that there was some framework, and it looks like there was some bedroom or some closet there. But this is all taken from the documents that I was given to by the town. My realtor was got from the town.
And that storage, that commercial space, what is it now?
Well, right now, it's just an empty space. There's nothing there.
No, but when you bought it, what was there?
It was just same thing. It was an empty space. There was nothing there.
That space that's there right now that you're trying to legalize the apartment is currently an apartment, isn't it? Or it was when you got there.
It looks like it was, yes, sir. But I mean, it's an empty space. It's just, I'm sorry, Joe. I don't know if I understand the question.
Well, not that how it's being used now. How is it currently constructed as?
No, right now it's just an open area with the closet in the back with the utilities. There's a bathroom and there's like a kitchenette area. That's it. But that was all existing prior to my purchasing it. And after we had met Mr. Gibbs from the town called me up the next day after you and I had originally met in August, and he went to the property and he took pictures and he documented everything, I believe.
So, Mr. Fajardo, the documents you received from the village indicated that an apartment, an illegal apartment, had been on the first floor, correct?
Yes.
And now you're seeking a use variance to put in an apartment on the first floor?
But a legal one, yes.
Yeah, but you know that from the documents you received from the village, that use is not prohibited and is not allowed in the zone.
Well,
that's what those documents would tell you, correct?
Well, I've
But
learned.
I think there's a misunderstanding here. I believe that the use that when it was purchased, the use was commercial storage.
But the documents he received would indicate that the use he's now seeking was illegal.
Well, I don't know how that would make a difference one way or the other. I mean, so would be putting in a restaurant.
It goes to the issue of self-created hardship.
Well, not only that, but the other issue is he just said that even though it was made into a commercial space, that there was documentation that said that that was not legal and that it had to be converted back to its original use.
Chairwoman, I would note that this is our sixth episode of this particular project, and we do have to open up a public hearing. I would note that they have gone in front of the LWRP review committee. The EAC did make a request that he put in a bike rack, which he did put in that bike rack. He sent a picture of that bike rack. I think that was pretty much their only request. There is nobody in the attendee list, but you do have to at least open the public hearing and close it.
And if I may, I do have 2 letters from neighbors supporting my plan to convert it into a 3-family.
Did you submit those? Did you submit those to us, Mr.?
Yes, sir. Those are on page. If you'll give me 1 second, I'll give you the exact page.
Yeah, 45 and 46.
45 and 46. Thank you.
So I believe we can move forward with this. We have heard we've heard the arguments, we've heard what they have brought before us. I'd like to be able to open up the public hearing. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to open a public hearing.
Seconded by Bob.
Okay, motion made by Kevin, seconded by Bob. If there's no objection by the board, the motion to open the public hearing shall go forward. Motion carried. Jaime, there's no one to speak on this issue?
There's no one to speak here, and there is no comments from email.
Then may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Second,
public
George.
hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
The motion to close the public hearing has gone forward. If there's no objection, the motion to close the public hearing will go forward and the motion will be carried. Amanda, if you're still on, I believe, I know that this application has a use variance and an area variance associated with it, but I believe the use variance has to come first. So as we go forward, I believe we should go through the factors for the use variance. And
all right, I can do that. Okay, the first factor is whether the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return, provided that lack of return is substantial as demonstrated by competent financial evidence.
There was evidence issued showing a deficit. However, I do have to say that even checking currently with the current housing market, I can say that, and I would I can bring forth. I looked up this property recently, and the current value that's out there is almost double what he paid for it. So could there not be a rate of return? I can't say that. Can we look at what he's bringing in, and are there other things that he could do? I believe that he could. And I think that even by his paperwork, I think that there was some tweaking that could have been done or looked at a little differently in how this application is going forward.
I agree with Marlene.
I do too.
Okay.
Are we allowed to talk back, like, or ask questions, or just?
Not at this point.
Okay.
Not at this point, no.
These are in deliberations now.
Understood.
I just wanted to point out that one of the factors to consider in the reasonable return criteria is if the applicant can say that he has a more profitable use available to him, that doesn't necessarily mean he's entitled to a variance. So I feel like that could be another part of your analysis here.
That's correct.
Okay. The next criteria, the next factor is the alleged hardship relating to the property in question is unique and does not apply to a substantial portion of the district or neighborhood.
I don't think it's unique.
I don't believe this is unique either. I think that I think this hardship, and especially in that area, with a lot of businesses that were converted, things that were done, and even with urban renewal and some changes in the neighborhood that went forth, I think that it's not a unique situation in the neighborhood that he's in.
I can concur.
Okay. The next factor is whether the requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood.
I don't think the variance would alter the essential character of the neighborhood.
No, I don't either.
I don't either.
It's all internal.
Right, and several family homes there are 2 and 3 family. I don't believe there's too many 1 family or smaller units in that area.
Yeah, so this is kind of, in this case, it's almost like the mirror image of the uniqueness factor in this, I would say.
Right.
And the last factor is whether the alleged hardship has not been self-created.
I think it was self-created. He didn't do his due diligence on the use of the space before he bought it.
Yeah, as part of that, I just think if you're buying a property, particularly a rental, that you would want to check the zoning.
Everything. Yeah, check everything.
You
Yeah,
know,
Go ahead, Nina.
No, I was just going to say that I understand he only had 30 days, but a really basic thing is that you would go immediately to check the zoning.
Yeah. I kind of went back and forth in my head on this part because information that he received up front may have been may have shown one thing, but because he didn't, I'm not so sure that I think that he should have delved a little deeper into the commercial part of it, especially since there was no real commercial business on that first floor, and not really kind of going into it a little deeper before he purchased it, is something that I kind of can't get beyond. You know, there was no existing business really. There was nothing going on. And again, on the inside, there was a kitchen space, there was a bathroom space, there was conceivably a closet space. It just seems like more due diligence needed to be done before the before he you know, before anything went forward.
Yeah, required a lot more thought and investigation, in my mind.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just note that the zoning regulations that were in effect at the time he purchased the property had not changed anytime at the time that he had purchased. Actually, an applicant can be charged with constructive knowledge of the zoning code, actual or constructive knowledge of the zoning code. Constructive meaning the knowledge was there, it was available to you, you did not seek it.
Right.
Okay. That's it.
I think that's it. So if going through the factors for the use variance, it
Right.
looks like the use variance would not be granted.
Exactly.
Right? That's where you are, then you would not need to go through.
The area variance or the parking variance.
Right.
And again, you would not need to do a secret determination if you decide to deny this application.
No, of course, no.
Right. Okay. I would need a motion from the board.
So moved, Bob.
Second, George.
And a roll call vote.
The roll call is Marlene Cheatham,
Yes to deny.
George Bailing,
Deny.
Antonio Martinez,
Deny.
Kevin Griffith,
Deny.
and Bob DeRio.
Deny.
The motion is 5-0 to deny the application.
I would just note to the applicant that in order, moving forward, if you'd like to convert the downstairs to residential space, it does not require any variance because a two-family use is a permitted use in that district. You will not be required to get any parking variances or area variances or any variance of any kind. You only need to pull a permit. Maybe, and Joe, if you want to clarify that, but.
No, that's correct, exactly. You have it. It would be a conforming two-family home in a two-family zone district.
Right. I'm sorry, Mr. Fajardo, you had your hand up?
Yeah, so I understand that I was denied the ability to convert it into a three-family. So now my options are to work with the town to get the permits needed to combine that that basement with the second floor, correct? I mean,
Well,
I have to do something.
you do have the option of reapplying for a use variance for the commercial use. Again, that would be a use variance for the commercial use.
Over again, right?
That would.
I wouldn't want to subject you to that or myself to that.
But I think what Jaime was saying, and Joe, is if you're looking at the second floor apartment into the first floor, it's already a two-family house, and you would be, and I don't believe you need a variance to convert that.
Understood.
Joe would just.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, go ahead.
Well, I would also note, one of the things that you mentioned was that you had a concern about people bringing things down a spiral stairwell. But I would remind you that you do not need to remove the door on the bottom floor to convert that space.
That's
You're not obligated to remove that bottom floor door. So you would only need a staircase to connect the two spaces, but you would not be obligated to do any other changes other than removing those garage doors and meeting all the building codes. You would not be required to remove the entrance on that level. It's like as if you had a back door and you have sliding glass doors in the back. You know, I don't think it'd be any different. So.
Understood, but again, I'll just probably go with the regular, more expensive stairs, make my life easier, you know, and just not deal with any issues down the road liability wise. But Joe, may I ask you a question? So at this point, I need to file permits, right, for the interior work?
Yeah, you would just file your application with your plans and insurances to the building department.
Okay.
And we'd issue the permit so that you can do whatever interior alterations you need to do.
All right, and is there, just so I know, is there any like time frame that I must get this done within a month, within 6 months, is there any other restrictions that I might need to know about?
It's your house. You can put in for a permit whenever you're ready.
Okay. Dan, any
I would
questions?
remind you, I think you have that the code enforcement officers gave you a violation for the apartment pending, and what you chose to do is to try to get the variance. So now that that's been denied, your order to remedy this is still now current. So there is a time frame to remedy that before it ends up to be a court appearance ticket.
Understood. I already was at the court last month, and I have a meeting November 17th to address that. Thank you, Joe.
So then, I mean, you have the time to obviously get it ready, but they're not going to give you like a year, so you just have to work with us to get it done.
Understood.
We don't have to bother you. We can do this offline.
Yep.
Right.
All right, everybody.
All right, good night.
Thank you very much.
Good night, Mr. Fajardo.
Hello.
Good night.
Thank you.
That doesn't mean the board, though.
No, I'm
We're
saying
not
goodbye to
going.
him.
Good night, Mr. Fajardo. I believe that is the agenda for the board, but additional business, we need to approve the minutes from both the September meeting and the October meeting. So I have a motion can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the September and the October zoning board meetings?
So moved, Bob.
Okay, I got a Bob and I think it was Antonio.
Yes.
Okay. I don't believe this has to be a roll call vote.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so if there's no objection to approve the meeting minutes, the approval shall go forward and the motion shall be carried. So approval for September 8th and October 13th meeting minutes has been approved. If there is nothing else,
Thank God.
can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
May
Oh,
the
that was-
fourth be with you.
Happy Veterans Day.
Happy
And they-
Veterans Day,
Veterans Day,
everyone.
everybody.
Motion to adjourn. Have a good night, everyone.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Safe, y'all.
See you in, gosh, it's going to be December.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving. See you
Happy
in
Thanksgiving.
December.
We got rid of the turkeys tonight.
You know that that 24 Aqueduct has been on the agenda since I started.
I know.
Since I started, it was the first application I think I saw. It's my very first board. It's come to an end. It's
Wow.
end of an era.
over.
You know.
Go eat your steak now, Jaime.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's only 9. It's like 9:20. I'm gonna go cook my steak now. I got plenty of time. I'm sleeping in tomorrow. You know.
Enjoy.
Some of us are working tomorrow,
Yeah.
sadly.
I'm out.
Take it
Good
easy.
night.
Have a good night.
Okay, good night.